You've heard of famous last words. How about famous last 11 words? I don't care what it says. I know what I meant. And with that, I'm guessing both Lindsay and Patrick have won their malpractice lawsuits. Now, despite the drama, which I understand why that lit up the internet yesterday, but one of the things that you take away from this is that the conversation's about pressured speech. Pressured speech is a speech pattern that can often tie back to, at least in my understanding, please understand that I'm not a medical professional, so all of this I just kind of go Google when I don't know anything. It can give the indication that there is some type of hypomania or mania. And if you recall back, when Kevin Reddington was talking to Dr. Shaw, they talked about this same thing. Dr. Shaw says you got to keep an eye out for somebody who has kind of these high highs and then kind of low lows. And she expressed that if you're talking fast, you're walking fast, you're doing excessive exercise, excessive activity. And he even clarified for her. So running a race very shortly after giving birth, cleaning out the garage, wanting to declutter your life, constantly cleaning. Those are all things that could be tied back to hypomania and mania. Yes. Now, I have said this probably 4 or 5 different videos. It is my belief, and this is just my opinion. I am not a medical professional, but I have said this. I believe that what she suffered from was undiagnosed bipolar. I'm guessing, but that's what it sounds like. And I think there's a reason that this keeps weaving back in. Every time he sees it on someone's notes, he jumps on it. Every time there's an opportunity to talk about this mania, highs versus the lows, he keeps bringing it back up. So that's why I think that's the there. It can be devastating consequences if somebody who is bipolar takes the wrong medication. And I think that is what I'm leaning toward. I do believe that Lindsay Clancy killed her kids. And I do believe that killing your kids is an absolutely shocking and abhorrent act. So there had to be something that essentially messed with her brain so badly that she couldn't control herself. At least that's how she describes it. She was outside her body and she was kind of watching it happen and she couldn't control herself. And the really frightening thing is, if that is what it was, this conversation, this yelling match that they had, that dates back to October 21st, where she wrote, not hyper, comma, pressured speech. She says it was supposed to be not hyper, not pressured speech, but I'm going to be the grammar police here, because wouldn't you write not hyper, no pressured speech? Wouldn't it be no instead of not? If you left out a word, I would think that would be the word it would be. She wrote down not hyper, comma, pressured speech. Now, that was back on October 21st. So if there were signs, right? And he asked her yesterday, at any time did you start to think that maybe there was bipolar? She says, I thought about it, but I really wasn't witnessing any mania. Well, but were you asking her, hey, Lindsay, what is your activity like? Have you been running? Have you been exercising? Like, she wasn't asking about mania, which is probably why she wasn't seeing it. But could you imagine if all the way back on October 21st, she would have connected the dots and said, maybe this is something different and we need to be very cautious about the medications we're giving her. October 21st, this could have been on its way to solution. And this dingbat didn't pick up on it. And now she's, what I think, lying on the stand, because that's not what I said. That's not what I meant. It's supposed to say this. And even when she read it, she put the word in. And that's why he stopped her and said, no. What does it actually say? She's a mess, and I think she's going to lose her malpractice suit. When we talk about Julie Paul, Julie Paul did everything right. There was a much longer intake session. I think, did she say 60 or 90 minutes? Her initial conversation with Lindsay was much longer conversation, wanted to get to know her, was asking her about her eating habits, her exercise. She was asking her about the whole person. And then she said this. He said, do you ask about suicidal thoughts, harming self? Like, has she mentioned that? She didn't mention it on that visit. And she said, but we ask that every single time. She says, I ask that with every single subsequent visit. That is one of the standard questions. So she goes into every single visit and says, are you having any suicidal, homicidal thoughts? Are you having any auditory, any type of delusions? Like, she asks that every single visit. Jennifer Tuff's attitude is basically like, if she doesn't say it, we're not talking about it. Night and day, a tale of two different healthcare providers. And I don't blame Lindsay. Anybody who says, well, she was doctor shopping, do you fucking blame her? Because if that's the quality, and Lindsay's probably smart enough to realize that she's talking to Tufts and Tufts isn't managing her care correctly. Then she goes to meet Julie Paul and she goes, oh, this is who I want. And then unfortunately, she has to be referred to somebody else. So this isn't doctor hopping. This is a woman desperately trying to get the help she needs, and she's coming up empty.